Ever since West Virginia was a state, ever since before West Virginia was a state, it was bought and sold by industry, whether that be timber or coal or whatever. Like, this state was created as a resource colony for the rest of the United States of America, you know, to have timber, to have coal, to have electricity, you know, and that's the way we've been treated for the past 150 years, and you know, that's the way that the powers that be want it to be around here.
It took me a long time to really find a way to describe it to people, but it's essentially being raped. I identify myself as being a mountaineer and a hillbilly, and that identity is being taken away from me. It's a violation of who I am. And we have a saying, what you do to the land, you do to the people. You rape and kill the land, you're raping and killing the people.
I was just going to tell you all a little bit about my story. I'm 22 years old. You know, when I was a little kid, I went to this school we're going to go see, Marsh Fork Elementary. And, they were blasting there about the time I was 12 years old. And right around that time, my water started coming out of my tap real bad. You know, real red, smelling like sulfur, like really nasty. You know, I mean, I've got a lot of health problems today because of that water. You know, I mean, I was poisoned by the coal industry. Like, you're looking at somebody who was probably going to die eventually from what the coal industry did to him. You know, keep that in mind, that I am probably going to die of cancer because of where I come from.
The waters that are being buried by these landfills and valley fills are the headwaters to the streams that feed into the Ohio Valley, the Ohio River, the Mississippi River. I mean, we're talking about the water that provides water for the eastern seaboard. Essentially comes out of these mountains all the way from Maine to Georgia. This Appalachian region is the water source for those communities. So over 40% of the rivers in West Virginia have been compromised. They recommend that you eat, I heard, less than 2 fish a year.
This was a sample taken from Printer, West Virginia, and what this is contaminated with coal slurry, which is the product of washing the coal before it can be burned. And what they do is they dispose of it in slurry impoundments or slurry injections, which they injected into abandoned underground coal mines. And through the shaking of the ground with mountaintop removal and natural movement of the rock, it seeps into the groundwater and goes straight into people's homes who aren't on public water. We also have samples from a community called Rawl, West Virginia, who also had contaminated water. You can kind of see the particles and things floating in there. There's a wide variety of contaminants from iron to mercury to arsenic and mercury, things like that. We have another sample from Printer. This was taken from another person's home. You can just kind of shake it up and see the particulates floating in the water. And this is, again, the water that goes into people's homes. And we also have a sample from a stream from near Caford Mountain. This is a stream that is apparently contaminated with things like aluminum and magnesium. And if you shake it up, it turns milky white, and all those white particles in there. And that's in public streams, and children play in the streams, you know, downstream from this stuff, and it's hard to tell what exactly it's doing to the children of southern West Virginia.
You know, so there are really egregious things being done to our water, and we have no help from the Capitol. We have no help from our elected legislative representatives, and so the people are now on a campaign to address it at a number of levels.
For a politician to speak out against the coal company, it's pretty much political suicide. That's the way I see it, because essentially the coal companies are paying for their salaries. They're paying for them to be in office. And they allow this to take place within their own communities. There's that too. We're losing that sense of home place. It's just, they've actually coined a term now called nostalgia, which is like being homesick without ever leaving home. And that's essentially because of the Appalachian region that they've come up with this term, is because they are changing everything around here so fast that people are feeling displaced and they haven't even left home. I feel like a refugee inside my own state. I live in Charleston, which is the Chemical Valley, and I feel safer in the Chemical Valley than I do the coal fields. And I want to go home.
My family goes back generations down in Wyoming County. Hotchkiss is where my dad grew up. He would tell stories about taking his grandmother up into the hills, and she would dam up a place on a creek and catch fish, and they'd leave her there for 2 weeks, and they'd come back and she'd have buckets of ramps and fish, live fish, and they ate from the land. They supplied food to their families for the summer from the land. You know, this is the Indians and the Native Americans who were here before the white settlers came in. West Virginia, the area that's now West Virginia, that was their hunting ground. That was their pantry. That's where they got their nuts and their all of the things that they took from the forest to feed their families. This was their pantry essentially. So it's ecologically diverse in ways that can support life, and we're killing that.
Those who support it essentially came here to make the money. And those who are against it are people who are descended from the people who lived in these mountains and loved these mountains. You know, I'm proud to be 11th generation, and I often brag, you know, my 8th great-grandfather at the time of his death had over 100 grandchildren. I brag that my family helped populate southern West Virginia, you know, but that mountain provided for them so that he could have that family. They lived off of, they were farmers. They didn't need flat land. They did it on the mountainside, and they raised a family, and he had over 100 grandchildren. Think about that. And they justify this for the economy?
Why wouldn't a family like Larry Gibson or someone just say, wow, these are toxic zones, let me get my family kind of out of this region? What is it that impels people to kind of sustain themselves over a long period of time and really fight?
Well, first of all, my family's been here for generations in Appalachia, ever since the 1700s, and like I ain't going nowhere. Like the Coal River Valley is the only place I've ever lived in my entire life, other than like my brief stint of homelessness in Beckley, and like I ain't never leaving again. To hell with that. The outside world's just too weird.
I like that.
But to be honest, like the reason most people don't just pack up and leave and move, they don't have the financial means to do it. You know, a lot of people around here are very poverty-stricken. They ain't got no money. You know, like if people around here had money, this wouldn't be happening to them. You know, and they don't have the money to just pick up and move somewhere. You know, it's pretty cheap. Like the cost of living around here is pretty cheap. You know, and you pay that price in other ways, I guess, with your health. But at the same time, people just can't afford to leave. You know, even if they wanted to.
Yeah. We have up to 28% poverty in some of these counties, in Boone County and McDowell County.
You look at the people's houses that live around here. You see anybody that's got money? They're all shacks.
Oh, now come on, Ronnie. You know you've got money.
Oh,
This is your second retirement.
Yeah. But I mean, for the money that they're as much as they're destroying, as much as they're making, why can't the people that live in the area at least get a benefit from it?
Like, you're putting these kids basically, like these guys are tying themselves up to mountains and they're killing us. They're really coming down hard on here.
Yes.
What do you want me to do?
No, we just need to like, I need you to.
Okay. I mean, they asked if we were leaving anyway. We're just saying we were because we don't want to make a big deal about it, all right?
Yeah, we were
These cold people, the protocol, I know.
We have time.
All right. They basically closed in our vehicles, and I said, we've got to get these students out of here. We were planning on leaving, and they said that we're not blocking you. You can leave at any point. I said it's not about politics. Like, we came to learn about resources and stuff.
Sometimes you film Coal River Mountain, sometimes you film Blair Witch Project, okay? It doesn't always work out the way you intended to.
No, these guys are interested in hearing some of your perspectives.
Do you guys mind if I record it? It's okay if you don't want me to. Okay, that's fine.
I'm going to stand on the camera.
Do we need... Here, listen.
No. This is only for class projects.
I'm going to be honest with you guys. I would be perfectly happy to tell both sides of the story. That's what I'd rather do.
Here's the thing. Every time we've ever been on camera, they use it against us.
If you want me to shut it off, I'd be more than happy to.
Yeah, because...
Okay.
I've walked these mountains in the rain. I've learned to love the wind. I've been up before the sunrise to watch the day begin. I always knew I'd find you, though I never did know how. Like sunshine on a cloudy day, you stand before me now. So give yourself to love, if love is what you're after.